Welcome back to AM Agenda. With me, Jason Clare, the Parliamentary Secretary for Employment, and in Adelaide, the Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Infrastructure and Population, Senator Cory Bernardi. Senator Bernardi, if Tony Abbott did agree to an economic debate, he could prosecute his policies like this one he's going to announce today, more than $3,000 to companies who employ workers aged over 50 in an attempt to keep people in the workforce longer. That would be a good platform for that sort of thing.
Well, there's an enormous array of areas we could explore. The $100 million a day that the Labor Party is borrowing to pay back their irresponsible spending, their pink bats program. We could go on and on about their lack of policy substance. But, you know, the policy that is going to be announced today, I don't intend to preempt it, but certainly the reports are that the Coalition is going to reaffirm its commitment to supporting older Australians to use their wisdom and their experience in the workforce and encourage more people off welfare queues and actually back into the workforce. It's a very good idea.
It does sound like a decent common sense proposal, and after 6 months' work, that $3,000 or $3,200 would go to the employer who employs someone over 50 who's been registered with Centrelink.
Yeah, well,
it sounds like common sense. It's a good plan, is it not?
If we'd followed Tony Abbott's advice, there'd be a lot more older workers unemployed today. Without the stimulus, the Treasury's advice is that 1 million Australians would be unemployed, and a lot of those would be older workers. You'll remember, Kieran, the 90s, when we went into recession. A lot of people who lost their jobs were older workers. One of them was my dad. My father was lucky. He got a job again about 6 weeks later, but a lot of mature age workers never got a full-time job again. And what Tony Abbott's talking about today is a bit like one of those Christmas presents that looks great on the first day, but on closer inspection isn't so great. What you need to do to increase workforce participation, particularly amongst mature age workers, is not just write a cheque to the employer. You've got to boost training and retraining to help workers stay in the workforce. Now, Tony Abbott has said that he's going to cut all of the PPPs, the productivity training places. You've got to help tradies, for example, go into jobs where they can mentor apprentices. You can help tradies moving into roles in TAFE. Now, he said he's going to cut all of that. You've got to provide tax incentives for the employees, which we're doing. You've got to provide superannuation incentives for the employees to stay in the workforce. We have said, Kieran, for example, that we'll continue to make sure you get paid the superannuation guarantee up to 75. Tony Abbott has said he'll scrap this. So this is just one idea, one thought bubble, not a proper plan to boost workforce participation.
Well, they're saying you're spending too much. Senator Bernardi, as in your own answer, that you're going to have this $24 billion worth of savings, and according to the Financial Review today, that the Coalition, if elected, would issue and release a mini-budget soon after the election to try and ensure some stability and to start implementing those cuts. Is that right?
Well, Karen, once again, this is just common sense. I mean, it astounds me that Jason doesn't want to support common sense policies, but then, given the track record of the Labor Party, it shouldn't surprise me. I mean, if we get into government, we recognise the damage that the Labor Party have done to our budget bottom line. Their wasteful $100 million a day that they're borrowing, the pink bats program, the $8 billion on toilets and tuck shops that have been wasted. We've seen these rorts and these scandals in their programs. We have to actually redress the problem and have a mini summit or a mini budget in order to make sure that we get things fixed as soon as possible.
Tony Abbott was asked yesterday when would he bring the budget back to surplus, and he didn't even know the answer to that question, even though it's on the front page of his own policy. This bloke is all froth and no beer. He's good at the 5-second grab for the TV news, but after that there's no substance, there's no detail.
OK, let's hear Senator Bernardi on that.
Well, we've never seen Labor pay back one bit of the debt that they've incurred in the history of this country. Their promises about returning to surplus are simply going to be as vacant and as vacuous as their other promises. They'll probably have 150 people hand-picked to have a summit on when it should return to surplus. You cannot believe what they're saying. That has been proven time and time again. Even their leader, their Prime Minister, who betrayed their former Prime Minister, has declared that she's been a fake. She's a product of corporate Britain. You can't take her word now.
I'll give you this. Peter Costello had economic credibility. He knew what he was doing. Peter Costello says that Tony Abbott doesn't understand economics, and that's the problem. Right, that's the problem. You want us to elect a Prime Minister who doesn't understand economics.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Cory, just quickly, if it's quick, I'm sorry, we've got another...
let me give you this. Wayne Swan doesn't understand his job. He called people a liar and he was caught out. So please don't give us a lecture on economic responsibility.
Senator Bernardi, Jason Clare, appreciate your time. Thanks very much, gentlemen. Now to one of our profiles of crucial marginal seats around the country. Today, National Affairs correspondent Selena Edmonds talks to candidates and voters in the seat of Longman in Queensland.